Hello and welcome to another video. In this one, we're going to be talking about a little quirk in mock and why it doesn't look like mock works for signal handlers. It actually does, and I'll show you how to make it work. But anyway, let's jump into it. Okay, so this comes from a Stack Overflow question, so I'm going to just reproduce it very quickly in a little Python script. We are going to be dealing with the signal module, and we are going to be setting up a signal handler using a mock. Test import mock, and then we are going to kill our own process and look at the result of what happens. So let's just make some function. It doesn't actually matter. We're going to have a handler, and this is going to be a mock.MagicMock. MagicMock is nice because it supports double under call. So if you were to mock from import mock, if you were to just make a normal mock, actually I believe normal mocks are callable, but for whatever reason, the original poster used a MagicMock here, which, spoilers, that's kind of why this is broken. Why? And what they did is they set up a signal handler, signal.signal. I actually did another video on signal handlers, I think. I will link that in the description. If not, maybe I didn't do one. And what they wanted to do is handle sigterm and pass in a handler. Their actual code was significantly more complicated than this, but we're boiling it down to a minimal reproduction. Then they did os.kill on their own process with signal.sigterm. That way it sent the sigterm handler. We're actually going to put a little sleep in here. Technically, I can't remember whether this is synchronous or not. I think it's not. But we're just going to put a little sleep to give it enough time to make sure it actually gets called. And then they did handler.call.assert called once. Or I think they did assert handler.call.call count equals 1. Something like that. Basically checking that this handler here was actually called by this signaling here. And if we try this, called it func for some reason. Let's call that actually main. We actually run this. You'll see. Right. How am I supposed to actually do this? Assert call the once with. Let's actually just do this. This actually requires us to set up arguments, but I don't remember the actual things here. It doesn't have oh, right. No, what am I doing? It would be this dot call count. Oh, I don't deal with mocks all that often. Okay, but anyway, we see here that this signal handler appears to not have been called. Actually get call count of 0 here, even though we know that this actually did trigger a call here. And if we were to replace this handler out with something that just does, print I got called, we will see that it does indeed get called, even though it appears to not be. And the reason for this is actually debuggable in this case. It doesn't happen in CLAN. So let's actually put a breakpoint here and step through this and show you how I figured out what exactly was going on here. All right, so if we do S to step into this, we'll see this wraps thing, and we'll see that we're actually calling underscore signal.signal. Now, underscore signal here is the C module for signaling, and this is the signal function. But this pure Python code is wrapping that underlying code. And if we look at the arguments here, it might be apparent what's going on here. We are converting the signal number from potentially from an enumeration into an integer. And the handler is also potentially being converted from an enumeration to an integer. And this is actually where things are going wrong. So if we do enum to int handler, in this case, the handler is our MagicMock, it's converting it to the number 1. And that is because our MagicMock defines the double under int magic method, and by default returns 1. And so instead of passing a callable here to signal, we're actually passing an intable to signal, and so it is converting it to an integer And what this actually is doing is reassigning the sig term handler to the signal for 1, which, if I remember correctly, is sig hup. Kill dash L. Yeah. Sig hup. Yeah. So it is changing sig term to instead trigger the hang up handler, which by default I believe does nothing. And so that's why it's not actually calling this. Now the fix for this is pretty easy. There's kind of two things you can do. You can either convert this to a normal mock, which doesn't have the special int behavior, and you'll see now our assertion passes. Or I believe you can do del handler.int. You might also have to get rid of index as well. Let's try just int first. No, you have to get rid of index also. Well, there's some other int conversion method that's happening here. But usually you can delete those magic. Oh, you have to delete it from the tag. That's not gonna work. Anyway, yeah, the fix is to use MagicMock, or is to not use MagicMock, or just to use a function instead. Like you could also have like, well, this is really what I would do. It's the easiest thing to do. But anyway, hopefully you found that interesting. If there are additional things you would like me to explain, leave a comment below or reach out to me on the various platforms. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.